Hey, good morning, friends. Mark Combs here with my road dog, Cowboy Joe Boo. And we're feeling a little under the weather today, so we're actually off from our day job and had to pick up a prescription. I haven't quit that day job, of course. But I want to talk about the defense. And I like to call them the black sheep after the World War II fighter squadron that nobody gave any respect to. A bunch of misfits and guys that didn't have any other squadron and so on. And nobody thought much of them. But once they got together, they became one of the most feared fighter squadrons in the South Pacific. And that fits the Dallas Cowboys defense to a T, because when you listen to the experts this off-season talking about, Dallas Cowboys have a great offense, but their defense is suspect. They won't be able to stop anybody. They're a bunch of no-names and bust and had-beens and guys you thought were going to be good, But all of a sudden, if you start looking at the numbers, you start looking at what those guys are doing, that defense has bailed out the Dallas Cowboys there. You look at this past week with 4 turnovers that they got, strip fumbles. You look at the game in Washington, had they not get that interception down there deep, we wouldn't have beat them. And these guys are young, they're hungry, and they're flying to the ball. Now, I do the Benet Emery show on Monday nights. And during the summer, I made some predictions that people basically laughed at. I said, Morris Claiborne, I said, watch out, he's going to be the most improved player on that team. I said, for once, he's actually healthy, and he's going through training camp and looking really good. Yeah, people are like, that won't last. Well, to my surprise and everybody else's, he is the number 1 rated quarterback in the NFL. You look at Sean Lee. Sean Lee is lights out, knocking out everybody, including his own teammates, and no injuries here. And then you get guys like David Irvin, who nobody knew anything about. I mean, he was signed off a practice squad, but he's the typical type of player that Rod Martinelli gets the most out of. If you remember a few years back when we had George Selvey was one of those journeymen. He was in Jacksonville, Tampa, Atlanta, and he had 3 sacks in 3 seasons. But Rod Martinelli ended up making him into a 7 sack in 1 season guy. He ended up getting a nice contract with the Giants, and God bless him, got paid. So that's the kind of guy that Rod Martinelli gets the most out of, and that is definitely David Irvin, who was the Defensive Player of the Week last week in 19 plays, 5 tackles, and 3 strip sacks. Now, we don't have that dominant super pass rusher on the team. What you have is you have a lot of good guys. And with those good guys, and with what that offense is able to do, keeping them fresh, they can rotate guys. So you've got guys in there with fresh legs going against those offensive linemen that are out there every single play. And that starts to wear on guys. The other great thing that the Cowboys are doing is they're putting 11 hats on the ball. And by that I mean they have everybody is going for the ball carrier. And when you do that, when a guy's getting hit from 3-4 different angles from people, and hopefully this truck won't run into me over here, then you're going to get fumbles, or you're going to get drop passes and things like that. And you're also going to wear those guys out, because after a while, they don't want to start running that ball. And I look at that, and I realize that the Cowboys are doing really well tackling and its fundamentals. We had a drill in college that was pursuit angle. And what we did was all the players on defense would line up, coach would say go, and they had a spot that you had to run to. Well, I played nose guard, the fat guy position in the middle, and ours was basically the deepest angle because you're slow to get to the ball carrier. So we would do this, and basically I'm running 40 yards downfield at a full sprint, and you come back and you go the other way. We would do this every single day. But what it taught you was, when that guy is running out wide, to go to the spot that he's going to be. If you run to where he's at now, you're going to miss him. You've got to find the point, the mesh point as they call it, of where he's going to be. And that's what the Dallas Cowboys defense are doing. They may end up giving up 3-4 yards on that running play to start, but those guys are flying to the ball carrier where he's going to be, so it's not a big 15, 20, 30-yard run downfield. And if you look at, I did a video yesterday with some highlights from the game. where I called the defense the black sheep. If you look at that and watch that video, you'll see what I mean, where they're gang tackling guys and they're punishing people. And that's the kind of defense that you want. Young, scrappy, flying to the ball, and laying punishment when they get there. So I expect a lot of big things. Now, of course, when I said that the Dallas Cowboys were going to have the best defense in the NFC East, all the Eagle fans and Giants fans told me, you're an idiot. The Giants said, they spent $100 million on their defensive front. And I said, when does that ever work? See the Washington Redskins. The Redskins, we know their defense stinks. And then the Eagles were a good defense, but I didn't see them doing that well. Now, I think the Eagles are rated in yards given up, I think 6. We're rated 16th, but we're moving down. We were at 19th, 18th, and then we dropped to 16th. But I think you're going to see the Eagles numbers kind of going back up. Now, the great thing, though, is right now, the Dallas Cowboys are 7th in points given up. And that is the perfect measure. If your defense isn't giving up points, it puts you in a great position to win. And we're only giving up 17.2 points a game. Unbelievable. From a defense that they said was suspect. So, hopefully, the defense will keep getting better and better. Eventually, we'll get Orlando's Kendrick back. DeMarcus Lawrence's MRI wasn't real bad with his shoulder, so he should be coming back soon. And this defense is going to keep getting better and better and hopefully make some noise come playoff time. I'm Mark Holmes. Cowboy Joe Boo looks like he's taking a nap. And we're here at the pharmacy, so we're going to get our meds and go home and sleep the rest of the day. Try to sleep this cold off. Have a great day, friends. And thank you for being part of the Joe Boo Report. And if you haven't already, be sure to click over here on the subscribe button so that way you can get more of the Joe Boo Report.